you got to share pieces of you with other people because that is how they're going to trust you. But it needs to come from a genuine place. It cannot come from a place of selfishness where you're just doing it to get business. Like it needs to come from a truly genuine, I want to help people and I want them to see this part of my life because I don't have it together. You don't have it together. Like, let's connect on that.
Welcome back to the Agents Who Crush It in Real Estate podcast, where top-tier realtors share their journey to success, giving you the insider tips and strategies to elevate your real estate game. I'm your host, Lindsay Favaza with Crush It in Real Estate. Please be sure to leave us a review if you listen and like what you hear today, and share it with another realtor that you think could benefit from hearing these great stories. Today, we're thrilled to have with us a realtor who not only excels in the Massachusetts real estate market, but truly sets the bar for excellence. With over 30 million in sales, a feature on HGTV, and the honor of being the #1 agent in her office for both sales volume and transaction in 2023, Olivia Paras has proven that dedication and expertise lead to remarkable results. She's a proud platinum member of the Realtors Association Top Producer Club and has been mastering the art of buying and selling for over 5 years. Today, she's here to share her story, her strategies, and maybe a few secrets to her astounding success. Olivia, welcome to the podcast today.
Hi, thanks for having me.
Did we nail it?
Nailed it. That was so good.
We're going to leave this part in too then.
That was so good.
I always try to make you guys shine. And I'm just always did I do it? Did I do it okay?
I was like, who is this girl? I want to know her.
Who are you going to have on the podcast today? It is all you, my friend. I've been watching your social media now for a while, and I'm just so impressed. And on the screen, I usually wait till the end to say this, but I really want people to take a peek at your page because I think that they can learn a lot from you. And we'll dive into that a little bit in, a couple minutes here. But I want to go back in the Wayback Machine, and I want you to take us back 5 years ago. Why did you get into real estate? What were you doing before, and what got you here?
Yeah, so before real estate, I was a preschool teacher. I was hired by a local elementary school, and I knew my position was only going to be for 2 years. And then after the 2 years, I was eliminated. They didn't have enough kids to support both teachers. And I was kind of left at this crossroad. I knew I wasn't happy. I wasn't fulfilled. There was something inside of me that was there's more out there for you. Yep. But I had my dad and my family saying, stay with, the steady job.
Did you go to school? Did you go to school to be a teacher?
I did. I went to school to be a teacher. I passed all my MTELs. I'm actually technically still licensed. I could teach second grade, up to second grade in the state of Massachusetts. So there was a lot of work to get licensed. And then after it all, I just wasn't happy. So at the time when this was all happening, we had just bought our house, and I really liked the process of it. I've always really liked homes and interior design and all that stuff. And I kind of pitched the idea to my husband, and I was like, what if I go into real estate like that? I know that sounds kind of crazy, and he was like, you should do it 100%. He was super supportive, and it just kind of worked out. I never ended up having to, so I left teaching, luckily, and I was just telling somebody this the other day, and I have no shame with it. So they let me go. So I was able to collect unemployment. So what I did was I collected unemployment for 6 months, and that gave me the time to get my real estate license. Smart. And basically exactly when my unemployment ran out was when my first check came from the first house that I closed. It was almost exact timing. And from there, I never had to get another part-time job, and the closings just kind of continued to follow.
I mean, it's a bummer that you got laid off, but it kind of carved the path for you to do what you actually really would love to do. So
yeah, exactly. And it was a really tough decision because there were a lot of unknowns. I didn't really have any friends in real estate. So it wasn't even someone hey, you should come do this. It was really kind of a very foreign concept. And it was just we bought a house. I thought it was cool. Hey, maybe I could do this.
Yeah, I like houses.
Yeah, right? So yeah, that's kind of how it all
you got started,
together.
you got into the business, you got your first deal, your unemployment stops, but now you have that first check. So you're like, well, all right, if these keep coming, then I should be okay. So what happened after that? How did it transition? Did like your sphere really show up for you, or like what happened that really helped you to get to that next level?
Yeah. So at the time, and I hope it's okay to say like brokerages. At the time, I was with Keller Williams, and I was so glad I started there because they have such an amazing training program. And so that was great. But I did feel like, so I had my first closing, and I had like a couple things in the works, but it definitely wasn't like boom overnight. It very much was like, okay, I had my first closing, then it was a couple months. I'm like, oh, I'm kind of stretching this to the end. Like, I kind of got to do something here. And then I ended up switching brokerages. I went to a more local brokerage, and I live in the Athol Orange area. So I joined a smaller brokerage, and that was when my business like really took off. My broker was very instrumental in helping me, get my name out there, or, where I necessarily wouldn't have listings, she would co-list things with me. So it would technically be in my name, and she would help me that way. So I think that was a huge catalyst to kind of bumping my business up. And I think a lot of people think that, I don't know, they need to go bigger. And sometimes you just need to go smaller and really like, be in your community more and like with your sphere. And that allowed me to like really do things in my community, really touch base with the people who I'm seeing at the grocery store, versus I was driving, 45 minutes to an office where I didn't necessarily know the people in that community.
Yep, absolutely.
So, yeah.
And I think really it comes down to every situation is going to be different. But if you feel like you need to make a switch, or if you feel like it isn't the right fit, then like go with your gut. Like at the end of the day, because the grass could be greener and you might be able to find something that clicks better for you. It sounds like you didn't just get a broker, you got a mentor.
Yeah. And that was, I think, a huge piece of it. She truly, like at the time, she truly wanted our businesses, and she would tell this to us all the time because she was actively selling at the time, and she still is. But she wanted our businesses to be bigger than her, which I just felt it was very generous. And she would share business all the time, and she wouldn't ask for, anything in return. So that was a huge piece to my business.
Yeah, that's great. So then how did it kind of morph from there? So now you've gotten your business off the ground. Kind of what were some of maybe the struggles or challenges that you were facing back then?
I think it was just, the struggle is always who's going to be my next client, or like who, finding that business. Yeah. Where is it going to come from? And so that kind of helped me get my feet off the ground. And then from there, it was kind of like a snowball effect. Social media has played a huge role in my business. And that has been the one thing I've tried to remain consistent with across, over the years. Even I remember taking so much time to make, these social media posts, back 5 years ago. But the consistency, like that was what really helped. And then people in my community would see my signs, and, but it hasn't been easy. It's definitely not like this overnight thing. It takes years and years to build. Yep. And even once you're established, 5 years into it, I still have moments. Like last week was probably my hardest week in real estate I've ever had. Like, cried 4 times. Yeah. Like it was tough.
Not happy tears. Like
not happy tears. No, it wasn't like, whoo, yeah. No, it was like, oh my God.
This is the time of year that if you could make it through now, like if you could make it through what we're going through now, I feel like, business will take off for you. So,
and right now is crazy.
It is crazy.
I feel like this spring market has not been a typical spring market. It's been super, super challenging. Yeah.
Yep. But we'll get to the other side, because that is how this business is. There's always those ebbs and flows. And anyone who's like had more than 20 years in the business looks at this time as like, okay, buckle up because we're going to ride this wave until it goes back up again. But people who have been in the business only the 5 years, they saw 2020 and 2021 and 2022 when things were flying off the shelf and it was so easy. And I think everyone, even the experienced people, kind of got used to that. And it's hard to kind of make that transition back into a kind of a slower market. So it's a challenge.
100%.
So I want to talk about your social media for sure, because I think, you know, a lot of agents struggle with many things when it comes to social media. In my experience of talking to agents, I'm constantly having to say, don't worry about how you look. Don't worry about how you sound. Don't get hung up on that. It's worth it in the end. I always tell people, post and don't look at it. If it's going to bother you enough that you're going to want to take it down, just post it and don't look at it, because it's not for you, it's for them. So how do you kind of formulate a strategy, and let's start with that first piece of social media marketing, which is like, how do you get out of your own way, right? How do you have the confidence to like go out there and put yourself out there like that, even when your husband's telling you like, why the heck are you putting everything out there, right?
According to my husband, I put way too much out there for the world.
How do you handle that? Like, how do you overcome that? And how do you say, nope, I'm doing it anyway? And why?
Yeah. So when I first started in real estate, I would say the first probably 3-ish years, I very much like every single thing I wanted to put out there was like positive, perfect, like, hey, look at this perfect thing I just did. Hey, look at this beautiful house. Hey, look at my perfect life. Like, I'm not struggling over here. And then finally, it was like the beginning of last year. It was the beginning of 2023. I was like, I'm not doing this anymore. At that point, well, now I'm a mom. My house is a mess. I'm barely keeping it together. I'm like, I'm done kind of trying to wrap this in a bow and present this like perfect image to people when I'm not. Like, my life is far from that. So I really started putting out like more relatable things, because that's what I was going through. Like, hey, look at my living room. It's a disaster. Like, I just signed a new listing,
Boys
but like,
everywhere.
I don't have time to clean my house. So that was really like, I started going in that direction, or like my reels and stuff. Like it doesn't have to be perfect.
It was probably freeing for you, because you were trying so hard to keep up. There was probably a million things that you could have posted that you didn't, because it wasn't perfect.
Yeah. And it's nice because I've been able to connect with so many other people. Like, they'll message me and be like, girl, same, my house is a mess. And then I don't feel so alone.
No, exactly.
So it's been nice from a business standpoint, but also like a personal standpoint, like connecting with other people and just like, hey, we're not perfect. We're just trying to figure this out, every day.
So why is it important for you to be on social? Why do you think that it's important for you as a realtor to put yourself out there?
I mean, that's where I would say at least 75% of my business comes from. That's where it all comes from is, a lot of it is my sphere and like word of mouth, but a lot of it is people that I already know, but they're seeing my face continuously on social media, and that they're connecting that with real estate. Whereas if I wasn't posting or they weren't seeing it, sure, they know me, they know I'm a real estate agent, but they probably would have chosen somebody else, because it's a nice organic way to stay top of mind without continuously reaching out to people in this businessy sales pitchy way. Like, hey, don't forget about me. Like, I would love to help you. And it's free.
Yeah. I mean, it reminds me of that quote, like, choose your hard, right? So like, yeah, people think it's hard to post on social and to put themselves out there and all of that. But then again, like, how do you get to know anybody then? Like, how do they get to know you? Like, then you have to go to every community event, and you have to be at every sports thing for your kids. And you have to do all these things in order to get this FaceTime that you could easily get with a couple videos a week on your social media page,
100%.
So like, choose that hard. Like, what is it that you want to do? How are you going to get your name out there then? If you don't want to do this, then how many postcards do you have to send to get that same return,
Yeah. And I don't know if everybody knows, but the prices of stamps are going up. So like
way too much.
It's so expensive.
Do you ever boost or do anything like that on a video, or do you just let it all be organic?
I don't. Yeah, I don't.
Awesome.
And it really has been like the last 2 weeks, I've seen a lot more views on my reels than I ever have. Like, this last one I posted, it was just a B-roll. I've been really trying to like take advantage of the whole B-roll thing. Yeah. I was outside with my kids. They wanted to ride their bikes. And I was like, sure, let's go outside. My husband, he works midnight, so he was sleeping at the time. So I had them for the day. I was like, sure, let's go outside. We're outside with the dog. I set up my tripod and I literally grabbed one of my signs out of my car, walked it to my shed, had the video of it. And then I just put, I put what my sales were at the time last year versus this year. And it has over 12,000 views. And I didn't boost it, or I just chose like a trending audio. And that was it. Like it took me like 5 minutes to make. And that was it. And so it's stuff like that that's, I feel like, really been helping.
Yeah, it makes it easier too when it's something that's kind of easy and off the cuff. So how do you come up with these ideas? Do you have other pages that you follow to get ideas from? Is it all just like coming from your head? Like how do you generate the ideas to what you do on your reels?
It's a little bit of both. Like I definitely follow a lot of other realtors, or like realtors who are in kind of bigger cities. I'll notice that, they'll have trends first and then it will kind of trickle down to like our smaller towns. So I do follow like a lot of realtors who are in bigger cities. So it's like a combination. Like if they posted something, I'll kind of do a variation of it. Or then sometimes I'll just have a random like real idea that will come to me and I'll immediately write it down. You have to write it down because you will forget. Like I have learned that you will forget. Yep.
You think of them like either in the shower, or you think of them right before you go to bed, or like quickly
that's exactly right.
between appointments or something.
I keep a whole list in my notes, and I keep it as detailed as possible. Like this is what I want to say word for word, because I will forget everything as far as content ideas. So if you keep that list, then you can go back to it in the moments that you're feeling a little uninspired, because I definitely go through weeks where I'm like, I'm just not feeling like anything. I can't really think of something. So I'll go back to those notes and try to reference that.
Do you use chat or any kind of AI to help you kind of craft messaging, or do you use like Canva to make things pretty? What kind of programs and things do you use to help you?
Yeah, I use Canva. I use CapCut a lot. So I try to use CapCut sparingly, because Instagram really wants you to be editing the reels in the Instagram app.
Yep.
And like all their metrics and stuff, the algorithm is totally about to change, which is great for like smaller creators. It's going to give us a better chance to have our content, I guess, seen. I don't, it's weird saying it from like a content creator standpoint. But yeah, so it's weird to say it that way, but CapCut I use for videos, because Instagram is fairly basic as far as what you can do to like cut your reel and stuff like that. So CapCut's a big help. Canva. I do use Chat GPT, but not like, I probably don't use it to its full potential, but we probably all don't. But sometimes I'll use it if I need like caption ideas or something like that, or like I see something that's worded some way and I don't want to copy it and I need to like try and find a different way to word it. So I'll use it more as like a secondary helper versus like relying solely on it.
Yeah, we rely a lot on it because it's just, it helps to generate that idea. It's like you said, when you kind of get dry, it definitely can give you that jolt of like information. So we definitely use it a lot, but I think it's good that like, and that's why a lot of your reels are going to do so well, is because they're organically something that you are into and that you want. It's not an AI telling you what to post about, you know what I mean? And telling you how to say it. So even if you're out there and you do use one of those things, please reword it, please make it your own, because otherwise it's going to sound like a robot, you know?
And Instagram is really going to crack down on people who are copying. I just saw this the other day. People who are copying like word for word the same reel, they're going to then push the original creators out to more people, and whoever is copying their content's going to be hidden. So
and it's going to hurt.
It's going to be
content,
good,
not just the ones that were copied. So
I'm excited about that though.
Are you doing anything on TikTok? Are you doing anything on any other platforms, YouTube Shorts or anything like that? Or is it strictly only Instagram at this point?
It's only Instagram. I would love to get into YouTube more. It has more been like a time thing. Like I really need to set aside time to like learn what I'm doing, get the hang of it, because I don't use it anyways. So I would really have to kind of get the feel for it. And I don't use TikTok. I probably should. But the idea, I really just use Instagram and Facebook.
Now hold off, because if it's gone, you don't want to be
invested. Oh, that's true. Yeah.
So if what you're doing is working, then that's great. But a lot of agents, I think, ask, and want to know, well, if I do it here, do I have to put it on all these places? If you're not on those places and you're not actively using those places, then now you have to teach yourself a whole new thing and then post on it. Like that's not going to be conducive to it's not going to fit comfortably within your plan,
No, no. And I think people should just stick with, if Instagram and Facebook, like if that feels doable for you, then just do that. Like you don't have to go overboard. The other things will come. You'll get more comfortable with Instagram and Facebook, and then you can start branching into like YouTube, or, it doesn't have to be this like all or nothing, kind of do it in pieces.
Yeah. And you have to be willing to pivot, Yeah.
What
if something happened to TikTok and it now goes away? Now you've got to go back and do it somewhere else. I mean, it's a lot of work, and, you got to do it where you're going to feel most comfortable so that you can, lean into it. Because that's what I'm hearing you say. You have to be consistent. So from a consistency standpoint, how often do you think you're posting on social about real estate, or in general, personal stuff too?
So real estate is almost every day, like 7 days a week. Reels, because they've come out with something that said now 3 to 5 times a week is like ideal. So I really will only stick to like a Monday through Friday. Sometimes I won't even post on Friday, like a reel. And I've been trying something new where I like only post reels and I'm not doing stagnant posts on Instagram. So that's like kind of a little trial phase. I'm still
testing
seeing how I like that. Yeah. But social media, so Facebook, Instagram, almost every day of the week, I either do like a quick story, like, hey, showing a house, and then I'll fill it with a bunch of other personal stuff. So it's not just, my friends listening to me do real estate all day, or like the agents who are following me for real estate, they're not just hearing about my kids all day. So it's finding that balance that's really hard. Mm-hmm. It's really, really difficult, and you're going to lose followers and people are not going to want to see it, but that's just part of the process. And finding that balance, you get it as time goes on. But I do try to have a good mix, so both sides of it are happy and wanting to stay engaged or click on my stories.
Yeah, for sure. As far as leads go, how long was it before, while you were doing consistently putting stuff out on social, how long was it before you got a lead? Because there's probably people listening or watching as well that are sitting there talking to themselves thinking like, I haven't got any leads and I've been doing this for 6 months and I post like once a week, So like, I think there's also an expectation of like, okay, well, if I do this at 3 to 4 a week, what's going to come to me, So how do you what are your thoughts on that, about getting leads from it?
Yeah, I think so. When I started in real estate, my office manager at the time told me we could expect to not receive our first paycheck for 6 months. And that was true almost to the day for me. I feel like that is so different in today's market, where we are flooded with, there's so many other agents than there was when I first started. So that kind of like time frame it's a little bit more now, I feel like. And even with social media, I mean, you're going to have to be consistent for months. And I feel like that's why a lot of people kind of come into the business and exit so quickly is, they do things for even a few months and it's like, okay, I haven't gotten anything from this, that must mean it's not going to work out for me. And you just have to stay with it a little bit longer. Things are a lot tougher in this market than they were, 5 years ago when I joined. And we're headed, I think, maybe to even harder places. I don't know. It's always kind of this unknown.
Yeah.
So yeah.
What other things do you do? What other pieces are in your marketing mix? Even if it's just like being a part of events or like sponsoring, your child's teams, or like what other things do you prioritize for your marketing?
I do try to do as much stuff as I can in the community as possible. I do have young kids. So this year was the first year that I sponsored a team for the YMCA. So I'm like a YMCA sponsor. I got to fill out the T-ball form. I'm going to be a T-ball sponsor. You reminded me. I got to do that.
My daughter started her T-ball, and oh my God, it is the funniest thing I've ever seen in my life.
It's hilarious, right? Oh my gosh. My son, we had his...
All the parents were just sitting there laughing our butts off. Like the kids are dancing.
It's good entertainment at the very least.
good entertainment.
My son was building sandcastles in the infield, and I was like, you know what? That's fine. Like, he's happy. We're just gonna go
My
with
husband's
it.
like my husband used to play softball and stuff, so he's like a big, loves sports. So he's watching her swing the bat 5 times and miss on the tee. And then he's like shaking his head, and I'm like, Mike, she's gonna be 6. And then she finally hits the ball, and the coach is like, run. And she looks at him, and then she looks at us like, am I supposed to run? And Mike's like, oh, I'm like screaming at her. It is the funniest thing I've ever seen. So enjoy that. It's gonna be great.
Yeah. It's chaos, but yeah. So I try to do stuff like that. I did. I'll do just like random. I did a giveaway for Valentine's Day, which was like wildly successful.
Yeah.
It had
love
like
the off holidays. Everybody likes to do stuff for like Christmas or like Thanksgiving, but like the off holidays are the ones that actually, because no one else is doing anything for them during those.
Yeah.
times, you know?
Yeah. I wanted to do one for Mother's Day, and I just didn't get a chance to. Things have been kind of crazy, but and then what else do I do? I did like random gift cards of for Thanksgiving. I went and bought, I think it was 6 or 8 $200 gift cards to like our local grocery store, and I put it on Facebook, and I just said, hey, listen, if you know a family in need, I want to help them, please message me. And I had so many people reach out to the point that I had to go and buy even more to like help these people. Wow. So that was, so it's like stuff like that I've really been trying. Like, as your business grows, you're then able to give back even more. So you can't necessarily start off right away doing those things because funds are tight, and maybe you're not having consistent closings. But as your business grows, and as my business grows, I want to give as much back to my community as possible, because this is where I live. This is where I've always lived. I've never lived anywhere else. I love it here. So yeah.
Do you, like, from a budgeting for marketing and those types of expenses, do you kind of in your head at least like peel off, okay, on this closing, I'm going to take this % and put it in an account so that I can have it for that kind of stuff? Or is it really just come down to like when an opportunity arises, you just make it happen?
Yeah, I wish I could say like I was as organized as that, but it is a little willy-nilly. It's like, hard. Oh yeah, let's do that. Oh, let's do this. I wish I like could keep it to a percentage. But I track other things, so it's not like it's not like I'm totally, just have no kind of organization.
Having any kind of marketing budget is like pretty much the last thing that a lot of people have.
Yeah.
Because it's just not something that people think about. But and it's also not super necessary if you're at least doing the things that will work for you, which is social media is free. You don't need money to do that. So, you just got to lean in on the things that work for you.
Yeah. Yeah. And there may be a time where it comes where I need to kind of come up with a better system for it. But right now, I mean, your business evolves so much, and it's like, I don't know. I'm just going to leave it open, and what I can do, I'll do. And I don't have to kind of put constraints on it, I guess. Maybe someday I will track it better, but.
No, I love that. So, what are your goals? What do you see yourself, obviously probably your goal this year is just to get through this year because it's a tough one.
Yeah.
But what do you see for yourself in the future for real estate? Where are you headed?
I don't know for sure. I think a lot of agents, like, the next step will probably be like start a team or like do something like that. And as of right now, I actually truthfully have no desire to do that. I have no desire to start a team. I have no desire to have other agents
problems.
work under me or like, I have no desire to do that. I do want to get my broker's license. And what I do with that, I'm not quite sure, but I know I want to get my broker's license. I want to get licensed in New Hampshire. Up until like recently, I didn't see a need for it. And then this year, I feel like so many people are like, I want to go to New Hampshire, and I've missed out on a lot of opportunity. So that will probably be on the horizon next, but I don't really know.
I mean, those are 2 really good things. Getting your broker's license, just so you have it, and then you're prepared for whatever that next step is. And then, getting licensed in the new states there that you can cover. I think that's huge. That's awesome goals to have.
Yeah.
I love that.
And then we'll see how it goes from there. I mean,
Yeah.
as real estate agents, I feel like we kind of don't really have a solid plan. So I'm
It's
like,
just
I don't
one
even know
house
what the
at a
future
time.
holds.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm down to my last question. It always makes me
Okay.
sad because I can't believe that 30 minutes has just flown by.
So
But
fast.
this has been awesome, and you've provided so much awesome value for our audience. But what would be that last piece of advice? So let's say there's someone on here that maybe they've been in the business for 5 years too, and they haven't gotten to the level of, sales and, success that you've gotten to. What advice would you give them in order to kind of get to that next level?
My biggest piece of advice is like, put your blinders up. Like, it is so easy in this industry to look at what other people are doing, to look at this person, to look at this person and compare yourself. But everyone's in a different scenario. Like, you need to put your blinders up and do what's going to make sense for your business. Don't be doing other things for other people. And really just focus on you. If you focus on you, your business will grow. Like it will. You cannot, the more effort and energy you give to other people and worrying about what other people are going to do, it's going to negatively affect your business. And you need to kind of just like speak to the universe, like it's going to be fine. It's going to work out. You need to be consistent in the things that you do, and you don't have to choose a million things, but choose a couple and stay consistent with it. And don't worry about what anybody else is doing. That's like my biggest piece of advice, because this industry is great, but it's so competitive. And I think it's really important for us to focus on ourselves and not tie our self-worth to how much business we're doing or what volume, we're doing. Those are not, synonymous.
And there are ebbs and flows. That is how it goes. I think we could make that a little saying. That is how this business goes. So I know this time of year, I hear from a lot of agents who have gotten to the point where they're like, but wait, it's now May and my business isn't doing right now what it did last year. So even with the blinders on, where they're only focusing on themselves, they're comparing themselves to a previous version, but it's a different market and there's different things happening. And, have some faith in yourself, but also like be kind to yourself. And then, maybe take a deep look at what it is that you've done differently this year. Maybe there is something that you could do different. It's like being on a diet, look at what you've been eating. Have you actually been doing all the things you're supposed to do? Have you been consistently posting on social media, or did you give up a little bit of that? And if you did, then get back on it, and just be honest with yourself and look at it. I think that is such great advice. And especially from you, that is someone that is like walking the walk and doing it and, focusing on, what they can do next. And as much as it pains me now that I know you and how sweet you are, it pains me to hear that you've been crying so much. So stop doing that.
I'm so dramatic. This week will be better.
That's what agents do. They get to that point where they just kind of break. So understand that everyone has those times too. Even a rock star like Olivia also has those times.
Even the top producers, we have weeks that we're like, is this worth it? It is. And it's just a low moment. And you're going to there's going to be so many other highs that are going to cancel out those low moments.
Yes.
But it gives you a great chance to look at your business. Starting this week, I had a low point last week. I'm like, okay, we're getting right back into it. It's Monday. What are we doing? Who are we calling? Who are we touching base with? What do I need to do to kind of pick it up? Because I had a low week. Now we're going to make this a high week.
Yep. Control what you can control and just move forward. I love it.
Yeah.
Olivia, this has been an absolute joy. I knew it was going to be, just because, here's a case of your social media. I felt like I knew you, even though we literally had only emailed or messaged.
Yeah, that's awesome.
I knew you because I watch your videos all the time. So that's the kind of power that there is in social media. And I hope that, people listening today got that from you, because no matter how many times I tell them to do more social media and do more video, they don't listen to me. So hopefully they'll listen to you.
And you have to be okay with sharing. You don't have to share the super details, but you got to share pieces of you with other people, because that is how they're going to trust you. But it needs to come from a genuine place. It cannot come from a place of selfishness where you're just doing it to get business. Like, it needs to come from a truly genuine, I want to help people and I want them to see this part of my life because I don't have it together. You don't have it together. Like, let's connect on that.
We're together, not having it together. It's great.
Yeah, exactly. That's a perfect way to say it. Yep.
I love it. Well, thank you, Olivia, so much. And thank you to all of our listeners and watchers on YouTube. I don't want to forget about you guys. We really appreciate it. And like I said in the intro, please share with another realtor so that they can get the same great tips that Olivia shared today. And then also we would love it if you would give us any kind of review on wherever you get your podcasts. That would be a huge help to help the podcast grow. So this is the first time I'm recording after we found out that we made the top 100 podcasts for real estate, which I'm pretty proud about. So I'm excited.
Amazing.
And that's because of all of you guys.
Congratulations.
That's because of all the awesome guests that we've had and because of all the awesome listeners. So we really appreciate you all. And we will see you on the next episode of the Agents Who Crush It in Real Estate. So bye, everybody. Thanks, Olivia.
Thank you for tuning in to the Agents Who Crush It in Real Estate podcast. If you enjoyed today's episode, share it with your friends and colleagues, and leave a review on your favorite podcast platform. If you're interested in being a guest, email us at info@crushitnre.com. Thanks for listening, and don't forget to crush it in real estate.